It's a camp in the sense that it's not a festival, it has that festival feeling. I mean, we've used the word convergence, hoping that it's a kind of melting pot of different groups, different areas. So specifically Buddhists, and then activists, and then, you know, any spectrum in between. There's a real mixture of people. We want it to be accessible in the sense that well-practiced Buddhists, you know, would get a lot from it, but also that there is a way that people who have had no experience at all, that might be terrified of walking into a Buddhist centre, would also gain from this. So, and a lot of that is to do with language and making sure that there is a mixed variety of how Buddhism might be communicated.
But the thing is, the more complicated our life, the more components to our life, the greater the necessity to have a kind of guiding principle to it. Without the guiding principles of those values, then the world will do it for you. The world is extremely keen to offer its own views of what's important, how you should live your life.
I think in terms of engaged Buddhism, I think there needs to be more of that. So Buddhism that's very active and visible out there. There is a strong feeling in the culture at the moment of awareness of the suffering that's happening, you know, in terms of climate change or climate chaos, you know, whatever, uncertainty about what the future is, and that brings up a lot for people in many different ways. So there's obviously the workshops that are trying to get people on an emotional level, an experiential level of perhaps recognising what is coming up about being in the world today, and then perhaps coming into here are some specific tools, practices, things that are available to go forward with. There's a lot of discussion spaces and open spaces and project sharing spaces, so that chance to really network is made available, you know, which is obviously really important when you're mixing so many different groups together, a chance to actually have that communication. And there's also a lot of space in the day, as opposed to having a festival where you might stand there with your pad trying to work out the 101 things you're trying to do that day. We do try and factor in a bit more space and sitting down. Hoping that those conversations will happen. I think that discussion space perhaps is maybe what's a bit more unique about this event. Picking out the more engaged Buddhist elements, I suppose, of the festival. I mean, trying to just create a smaller camp where more communication can happen. We really want it to be a place where discussions within the order can happen as well, so getting order members to come and thrash out some interesting topics.
We're not sufficiently emotionally connected to the natural world. We have to feel the connection in our guts, that what we do to the planet, we do to ourselves. Otherwise, our response is inevitably going to be half-hearted because our hearts are elsewhere. We've got so many other priorities that engage our heart energy.
Yeah, we want to do it each year. Each year find what the different scope of which elements that we want to deepen into. You know, we also want it to be a place that people kind of can help co-create as well.